Yeah. What's up?
How's it going?
Hello.
Hey, Sam.
Hey there, my name's David Massey, Regional Director for Movement Mortgage. And today I'm thrilled to have David Hertlein as our special guest. We also have Sam Klausner and Deanna Reich with us today. But today I want to highlight some things about David Hertlein. So David, I know you're an avid barbecue guy. Let's start out with some personal stuff. Tell me, how'd you get into barbecue and what kind of awards have you won? Are you the National Pit Master of the United States? I mean, tell us what's going on there.
Hardly, man. So barbecue being down here in Memphis is just a part of the culture. And probably shortly after college, graduating college, I linked up with some guys that, like to cook on teams. And we've been involved with Memphis Barbecue Network, Memphis in May, which is where the World Championships held. Either way, we've taken third place and fourth place in whole hog division in Memphis in May. We've won some smaller competitions throughout the region that are Memphis Barbecue Network and such, but just something that became a hobby and good time to get together with friends. And, so it's a lot of fun. We have a good time with it.
Well, another thing I want to talk about real quick before we get into some other questions is, man, the one thing about when I think of David Hertlein, I think about work ethic. I think about strong habits. I mean, dude, you get up like at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you have your routine, you have a regimen. Where did that come from too? Because I read that book, Miracle Morning, and talks about the 5 a.m. person, right? And so all that you can get accomplished before the sun comes up, you kind of live that out every day, a lot more than I do. So where did that kind of drive and determination come from?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get up every day at 4:30, and it's not always been that way. A few different things, primarily having children, have taught me that we each have the same amount of time each day. And a few years ago, I started really prioritizing how I spent that time. So for me, getting up at 4:30 allows me to either read the Bible, get to the gym, have an hour of quiet time in the morning to myself. So that's very good, mind cleanse for me every morning, depending on what I'm doing, and truly the only time during the day that I have to myself. But the days start early, and I follow a pretty structured day. I'm either at the gym, hanging out with my kids. It's important for me to spend time with them every morning before we start work, and I'll get the laptop going around 6:30, 7, and start responding to emails and checking in and building my calendar. And time management and setting priorities is just a big thing that I've grown into as life becomes more and more demanding. And I think just setting those priorities, setting boundaries, and doing what works best for your schedule, as everybody doesn't want to get up at 4:30 in the morning, but make sure you schedule time for yourself. That's very important.
Yeah. So in that Memphis market, man, I mean, it's been the Dave Hertlein show. You have done a phenomenal job in branding our name in that market. I mean, I can remember you've been with us now about 3 years, and this last 12 months, just massive growth, man. I mean, several months this year where we hit $4 million in that market. And also, as far as like some of those changes, what do you attribute to those bigger months? I mean, I show, this video is being shot early August. You've already funded $21 million for the year, and with another 4 left to go this month, it looks like. And so it's kind of you've just kind of gone to a whole nother level. And so what have you done? I mean, we've been in COVID, we've been in some of these relations, where it's been a little bit more difficult to market yourself, build relationships, but I know you've got all kinds of techniques to do stuff like that. So how has your business marketing and building relationships changed throughout this COVID period that we've gone through?
Yeah. Well, thanks, David. It's been a good year so far. And, essentially coming from a bank environment over to Movement, there was a big shift in who I needed to call on, who I needed to see, and how I needed to grow that business. Primarily a shift from, bank referrals or referrals through, internal sources to external sources. Right. So, the path that I chose was to focus on wealth management, real estate, CPAs, attorneys, anyone that's client focused, that's going to face someone that's going to need our services for a home. And then it's as simple as connecting with those individuals through people that already know you and finding how to add value to their life. It may be from a better mortgage process. It may be from a better product array. It may be from, just dissatisfaction with our current partner. Just finding an opportunity to bring value to that individual's business and growing from there. And it's that simple. It's staying in front of people, being a good communicator, not surprising folks with issues that come along the way, because it's the mortgage business and there are issues. These are people that we're dealing with, and families and individuals, and you have a lot of pieces to the mortgage puzzle that all come together. So finding that niche and then working it, and really becoming that trusted advisor that your partnerships know that when they call on you, they can count on you to take care of their client and get it done. And then from there, it's just they'll continue to work with you if you consistently deliver. I think consistency is key too. You have to back up what you say with that process and deliver on what you're talking about.
Yeah. Have you been able to
jump in? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just want to jump in with a question, because I'm hearing systems and consistency out of you, and also from working with you. I know that you're a very connective person, but you also have a demeanor to you where it's almost like you're planning for the uncontrollable, which is perfect for mortgage. So right now, we're kind of in a different season of mortgages, although it's busy, but it's just a different season. So I hear a lot of loan officers, or I hear a lot of realtors say that loan officers are not picking up their phone calls. And so it's going back to what you're saying with, I'm that trusted advisor. So how have you been able to navigate that with all the extra volume, but also still stay true to your brand, being that person that will consistently follow up, consistently, be there for you? So how have you navigated that in the past couple of months?
I think it depends on, did you say you heard loan officers are saying that realtors won't pick up the phone?
Opposite. And to say my realtor friends are getting annoyed with loan officers. And I'm like, come to my movement, loan officers.
Well, it's difficult right now. I mean, at any given time, a loan officer may be working with 20 to 30 to 40 clients. And when you multiply that with the other contacts that you're having to stay in touch with, title companies, insurance companies, realtors on both sides of the deal, personal things. I mean, the 8 hours in a day becomes very, very, very small. And giving the right amount of time to each individual client can be stressful. So I would suggest set some boundaries up front, talk to your clients and your agents about where you are in volume, and let them know that right now you're experiencing, a high volume. So you might not be able to respond as quickly as they're used to, but that you'll always respond within a certain amount of time. Set a parameter and then stick to that. If it needs to be one business day, tell them up front. If it's 6 hours, 6 hours. If it's 2 days, set it up front. As long as people know what to expect, you're not going to run into issues with delivering on that. But the key is then following through.
Yes. Thank you.
And
David, how do you, one question that I get from a lot of loan officers is how to overcome objections, right? When someone balks at what you're trying to do, or you're competing against someone else. And as we were talking right before this call started about curveballs being thrown at you and stuff like that, you got to be quick on your feet, right? And so is there any advice you offer to loan officers out there on strategies on overcoming objections, whether it be rate, whether it be turn times, whether it be anything, whatever that might be? How do you handle those situations, and what advice do you have?
Sure. So, I've been taught, and it seems to be true, that the first problem someone brings to you is not the true problem. So if someone brings up an issue, or you run into an objection or something that you're not expecting, dig deep, find out if that's the real issue. Mm-hmm. In sales training that I did when I was a little bit younger, we talked about, people blowing smoke. Like, they're going to mention something, and if you stop, let them speak, ask a question on why that's an issue, you're going to find out a little bit more about the problem. And then that second follow-up why is where they're going to open up and tell you, well, that's because X, Y, Z. So the question behind the question, Just kind of dig into that, figure out what the problem is. And at the root of it, it usually lies in, I didn't have communication up front, or I expected this interest rate because I saw it on the internet. Or did you read the fine print? You know, what were the terms they were offering? You know, throw that out there, find out what the root of the problem is. And then if it's something that you can't fix, just tell that to people. I mean, I've had to tell some clients recently that, you know, what you have over there is better than what I'm offering. I'd advise you to stay over there. Yeah. It's okay to give away things that you can't manage well. And taking on too much or trying to be everything to everyone is a plan that will run you into the ground quickly. So know where your skills are, ask questions, be honest, and set limits.
So, you know, now that you're $3.5–4.5 million a month, you can probably pick and choose. We're not talking about redlining or anything like that. What I'm saying is that you can sit there and have a little bit more of a, you can dictate, I guess. Because, I mean, one thing you and I just talked about last week, and last question I have today is one of the most important things I think we both share is, and I don't know if we've ever figured this one out, David, but work-life balance, right? I mean, I see your adorable kids. You do a lot of Instagram, a lot of posting on social media of your family, and you know, and on the weekends and stuff, I see that you get to spend a lot of time with them. How that seems to be something, as long as I've known you, you've always prioritized. You know, I see you as far as not an outlier, but just someone who getting your priorities straight. Tell us a little bit about work-life balance and how you've structured that, because more and more loan officers that work inside of movement and outside of movement, the one thing I hear over and over and over is, I never see my family. You know, I feel like I work 24/7. And so talk to me a little bit about that, because that right there is something that, like I said, I get a ton of questions on all the time.
Yeah, great question. And that's something I've spent a lot of time on with mentors and things over the last, you know, several years, and specifically the last several months. But I actually am not a fan of the term work-life balance any longer. I don't think it exists. I think that you live your life and you do certain things for certain results. I work, we do home loans to provide income for my family. What I would swap that work-life balance out term with is something that we spoke about last week, and that's priorities. You have to set priorities in your life. You make some non-negotiables. If family is a priority, you always give them time. You find a way to do it, whether that's early morning, midday. People make time for things that are important in their life. Everything else is an excuse. If you're working too much, you know, you need to put some systems in place, or ask for support, or go out and maybe delegate things. If you're making really good money right now, hire an assistant, hire a virtual assistant. Do things that help free up that time to where you can spend more time on those priorities. Without that, you know, you're going to find yourself overworked, stressed out. And I still get that way. I mean, I'm not perfect by any means, and I don't hit all these things every day. I mean, life throws curveballs, but, you know, I think to my children, and I think about who's going to be there with me from start to finish, who's going to be at my deathbed. And if you're on that list, you are a priority in my life. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's a ripple effect, David, because, I mean, let's go back to the 4:30 mornings, right? I mean, you're getting up early, you're knocking out your workout, you're doing your quiet time, you're planning your day. I mean, not everybody has that regimen. And I think that probably dictates a lot of how your rest of the day flows, right? And so it's just, I think what I'm trying to tell everybody out there today is, it's not just one thing. What David has accomplished is prioritizing what's important to him in the mornings to make time, which is his family, in the evenings. And so I've always applauded you for that, and just felt like, you know, not everybody lives their social media life, but I think you're one of the few that you see all your kids always laughing on the playgrounds and stuff like that, and you playing around with them, and it shows. And so I've always respected you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up with one last question, which is like my favorite question to ask people. So like, now look at yourself, look at your production, and like from where you started to where you are now, if you could tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
Be patient. trust the process, trust yourself, educate yourself. And, it's about progress over perfection, and just focus on small improvements over time, and you'll see the results.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. David, I want to thank you. I really think there's a lot of people out there in social media world that'll gain a lot of insight on this. Everybody needs to start waking up at 4:30 every single day. So
don't advise that. It's not that much fun.
But man, I'm just so impressed with how much you've grown your volume over the years, and as well as just being able to prioritize your family. There's a lot of people I talk to who don't do that, and I've always just thought, man, you stand out in that arena. So congratulations, man, on that, and applaud you for it. So
cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you all. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.